And now your host, Richard Thomas.
Hello, and welcome to It's a Miracle. I'm especially excited about this episode because the producers have asked me to share some of my favorite stories and memories from the past 4 seasons, and there are plenty of them. But before we start looking back, I want to share a new story with you, one that when I first heard about it, instantly became a favorite of mine. And once you've seen it, you'll understand why. Three years after Kelly and Tom Feeney of Elizabeth, Colorado married, their dream of having a child came true. Kelly was pregnant.
It was fantastic. I was scared, I was happy, I was sad, I was everything that you could imagine. And Katie was born in April. And it was the happiest day of my life.
When I held Katie for the first time, it was really a joy. To think that God has given you this gift just filled me with joy.
And it wasn't long before they noticed that the gift they'd been given had a special gift of her own.
The first couple years with Katie, we noticed that she was very intelligent. She was just so in tune with people's feelings. One night we were watching television and we were talking about angels. So Kate, do you have an angel?
Yes.
You do? Who's your angel?
Grandpa Louie.
I said, oh really? And she said, yeah. When do you talk to Grandpa Louie?
In my dreams.
In your dreams. He comes to me at night and he tells me that everything will be okay.
He's fishing.
He's fishing?
She never met my dad. He passed away years before she was ever born. And she knew a lot of stuff about him.
Where's he fishing?
Up in the sky in heaven.
His fishing, his outdoor adventures. Those are things that only I would know.
But Katie's remarkable ability didn't stop there.
One day when Katie was about 3.5, I was taking her to preschool. And we were driving in the car and she looks at me and says,
Mommy, are you gonna have another baby?
oh honey, Mommy and Daddy aren't gonna have another baby. We have you, you're a handful, you're all we need.
But you have to have another baby.
Why?
Because when you and I go up to heaven, I'll be all alone.
I just thought to myself, where does a 3-year-old get that?
It wasn't until weeks later that the meaning of their conversation became clear.
I wasn't feeling real well, and I just thought it was a flu. I waited and took a pregnancy test. It came back positive. And I remember coming downstairs and we told Katie that she was going to have a little brother or sister. Mommy and Daddy want to tell you something. You're going to be a big sister. You're going to have a little baby brother or a little baby sister to help us take care of.
Mommy's gonna have 2.
No, Mommy's only going to have 1 baby. And we laughed it off and said, no, we're only having 1.
No, 2. 1 for me and 1 for you.
She was very insistent that we were going to have 2.
Do you know what you all are having?
No, we don't know.
Do you want to know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Twin boys.
And when the doctor confirmed that we were having twins, I started thinking, well, okay. First she tells me she wants us to have another baby. Then she tells me we're having twins. What else is she going to be able to tell me?
But even with her extraordinary gift, little Katie couldn't predict what would happen next.
Pregnancy went along, and one morning I woke up after Tom had left for work and I noticed that I'd been bleeding a little bit. And I called the hospital and they said, you need to come in.
And they started doing some tests on her, and they realized she was dilated.
Just 6 months into her pregnancy, Kelly had gone into labor.
Being that they were only 24 weeks old, I think we were all pretty nervous at that point.
Kelly was rushed to Denver's Presbyterian St. Luke's Medical Center, where Dr. Richard Perico would attempt to stop her premature labor.
We evaluated her with ultrasound and an amniocentesis, and unhappily found that there was an infection in the first twin, in twin A. Afraid to have some bad news. We've got footprints of organisms in this amniotic fluid. I think this pregnancy is infected. As a result, I had to tell Kelly and Tom that it would be in their best interest to have the pregnancy delivered. Really be a terrible event for you. We indicated that these twins would be extremely premature, sad as that is, and that the likelihood of survival was essentially zero. We'll get it done efficiently, and we'll keep the babies in.
To them, it meant that an infection had settled in, and the medicine that they needed to treat me would harm the babies. And if they didn't treat me, it could harm me, and I may not survive.
Naturally, my first concern was for Kelly. The thought of losing her was very real. It scared me. The only choice we had was to deliver the babies at that point in time.
So we went ahead and made that difficult decision.
Once again, Katie seemed to know what was happening without even being there.
Hello?
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, honey. I remember Katie calling me that night before I delivered them, and she said, Mom.
Are we losing the babies?
And I tried to get her mind off that focus because I had made it specifically clear to my parents, do not tell her that there's something wrong.
I miss you.
I think she just knows. I think she has a sense. I'll be home tomorrow. And so I thought, oh, how am I ever going to tell her? All right, I love you.
I love you too.
She was so looking forward to having a brother or a sister.
The difficult night passed into an agonizing day. No sooner had Kelly and Tom welcomed their twin sons into the world than it was time to say goodbye.
I held Andrew and Tom held Miles. And Andrew, being the bigger of the two, he lived for about an hour and a half after he was born. Miles only lived about 15 minutes.
The sound was just so heartbreaking, yet it was almost a struggle. He was trying to get through this. And I remember holding him for the longest time.
The hospital took pictures and made sure that we had mementos to remember them by. And it was just a good time for Tom and I to sit there and reflect and bond with them. They'll always be with us. They'll always be with us.
After the boys passed away, Kelly and I both felt an emptiness. Nothing was going to replace the boys. We all felt a tremendous loss. It was a very tough time right then for the both of us.
The Feeneys returned home, where Kelly spent her days inside, battling a severe depression.
There were days where I would just lay on my bed and hold a teddy bear. It was just a constant. It's like picking at a scab. It seems like it never healed.
Kelly?
Her closest friend, Barry Anderson, tried her best to comfort her.
Oh, Barry.
I went upstairs. Kelly was in the bed. It'll be okay. We'll get through this.
What am I gonna do?
And I just crawled in bed with her and we just held each other and cried. I promise you'll get through this. It was very difficult for me to watch Kelly take on all this hurt herself. Take care of yourself and I'll take care of everything else. I wish I could take the pain away and let her heal. But knowing that I could never take the pain away and knowing that I could never truly know how she felt, I could only be there for her.
With Barry's help, Kelly slowly began coping with her loss and soon realized she wasn't the only one struggling.
I remember Katie saying to me,
Mommy, I want to see the pictures of the babies.
and no one had told her that there were pictures. Oh, honey, there are no pictures of the babies. And she got very upset with me.
I know there is pictures,
I know there's pictures and I want to see the pictures.
but I know there is some pictures.
I mean, she was just very, very upset. So I dug through the pictures and I found one of the two of them together, and they were wrapped up in their little blankets with their hats on. Here's a picture of your little brothers you can have for your room, okay?
Thank you.
And she just treasured that. I mean, I think at that time, she could actually say that she had 2 little brothers.
Like her parents, Katie would have to find a way to say goodbye to her little brothers.
In honor of Andrew and Mom.
Tom and I decided that we didn't want a big blown-out affair, that we wanted something very simple and personal. And so we decided just to do a graveside service.
Andrew and Miles were only here for yet a brief time. The day before the service, Kelly says, "What am I going to do with Katie?" And I said, "Kel, I will take care of Katie." Balloons have become a ritual with my family.
Do you remember when Brendan talks to his grandpa up in heaven?
And at the end of the service, I explained to her that these balloons will be going to heaven, where her brothers are.
By sending the balloons up there, you can talk to your brothers.
I thought that would be a wonderful way for Katie to have some type of healing.
That's for Andrew, and that's for Miles.
She was very excited. She kissed the balloons and said she was sending kisses and loves to her brothers.
Andrew, Miles, I love you forever.
Let them go. She let the balloons go, and we watched them go up and up and up.
They'll make it all the way up to heaven.
She thought they are truly going to heaven.
I watched him float until the clouds were in the way and I couldn't see him anymore. I felt really happy inside, and I didn't really feel bad anymore that they died. So I just started looking on the bright side, and then I was happy.
Katie's balloons were both a link to her brothers and a big step in letting them go. But for her mother, healing would prove much more difficult.
The months following the twins' passing was a roller coaster. Having to go back to work and having people ask you, "Oh, how are the babies?" And then having to relive it over and over again. I'm normally a very happy person, always have a smile on my face, and I never thought I'd smile again.
But gradually, Kelly's smile did return, due in no small part to her daughter, Katie.
For her 5th birthday, after her birthday party, she had leftover balloons, and she wanted to take them out and let them go to heaven so that Andrew and Miles could celebrate with her. So we took the handful of balloons and she kissed each one of them.
Andrew and Miles, I love you forever.
And off they went. That was kind of her way of celebrating her birthday with them. And a few days later, I went to the cemetery. And walking up there, looking at the gravesite, I noticed that there was something laying next to the marker. And when I got up there were the balloons. And I thought, wow, I just was in amazement. And I thought, I can't tell anyone this story because they'll never believe me.
But it was true. Katie's birthday balloons had actually found their way to the twins.
Those are the balloons that you let go.
And they came back?
It's a miracle.
To my little brother.
You have this feeling inside of you just to know that something that traveled that far and end up in that special place, it kind of put a chill through you. I think with the special connection that Katie has and the special little girl that she is, sending those balloons to her brothers, I think that the boys sent back a little message to her and us that they're okay.
I've always known that Katie was special. I just never knew how special she was. I have to believe that Katie has a sense, because when you look at her knowing that I was having twins,
We're gonna have 2 babies.
her calling me in the hospital,
Are we losing the babies?
her knowing there were pictures,
I know there is some pictures.
the balloons at the gravesite, just looking at all of that, it's not a coincidence. It doesn't make sense that she would know all of this stuff. And she does. She has the sense. And luckily, she shares it with us.
For Kelly, discovering the balloons at the twins' gravesite did more than confirm Katie's gift.
When I saw the balloons lying there, I was at peace. I knew that we were moving on, that was my stepping stone to really being okay. And I thought, you know what? We need another member of this family.
In October of 1997, Kelly experienced another miracle when she gave birth to a son, Patrick.
He came out just screaming and bringing us more joy than we would ever think. You love him? Are you happy? Katie was so happy that everything was okay, that she actually had a baby brother that she could hold.
And when I got to hold him, he was just so cuddly and soft. It made me feel really good inside.
1, 2, go get Sissy.
And 4 years later, their relationship continues to be a happy one.
He is all boy. His big sister loves him to death. She is the big sister. She takes care of him and she helps him, and he's a little brother. But he's a joy.
Like sister, like brother.
And looking back at it, had I not experienced what I did with Andrew and Miles, I would have never had Patrick. And I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason. And Katie, her strength, her love, I couldn't have done it without her.
Come on, bud.
We're here to live and love and create. And I've created. And I'm very blessed.
Long day.